Supreme Overlord Crozex stood before the massive quantum display, his iridescent scales shifting colors with barely contained rage. The holographic image of Earth, a seemingly insignificant blue planet, rotated slowly before him. 50,000 worlds had fallen to the Dominion Empire, yet these humans had the audacity to keep him waiting. The doors to his throne room slid open with a soft hiss. His chief strategist, Berthal, entered with unusual haste. "My lord, the humans have responded to your ultimatum. They request a direct conference." Crozex's anterior membranes flickered in amusement. No species had ever dared to request anything after receiving a Dominion ultimatum. They typically chose between immediate surrender or swift annihilation. "Put them through," he commanded, expecting to see trembling representatives begging for mercy. Instead, a single human woman appeared in the holographic display. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood straight-backed, her expression calm and controlled. Her simple black suit contrasted sharply with the ornate ceremonial armor of the Dominion court. "Supreme Overlord," she began, her voice steady, "I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us directly. We've reviewed your demand for Earth's unconditional surrender, and I must say, your translation matrix has done an excellent job conveying your expectations." Crozex felt his scales ripple with confusion. This wasn't the response he had anticipated. "Then you understand that resistance is futile. The Dominion fleet will arrive within your solar system in 15 planetary rotations. Your civilization will be absorbed or eliminated." Ambassador Chen smiled, actually smiled, and Crozex felt his primary heart skip a beat. There was something unsettling about her composure. "That's precisely what I wanted to discuss," she replied. "You see, there seems to be a fundamental misunderstanding about humanity that I feel obligated to clarify. We've studied your empire's history thoroughly. 50,000 worlds, each conquered through superior technology and overwhelming force. It's impressive, truly. But you've never encountered humans before." Berthal moved closer to the throne, his datapads displaying rapid calculations. "My lord, our intelligence suggests their military technology is centuries behind ours. They haven't even established colonies beyond their solar system." "That's correct," Ambassador Chen interjected, somehow having heard the quiet exchange. "We're rather young as spacefaring species go. But Supreme Overlord, I wonder, have you ever heard of the honey badger?" The non-sequitur caught Crozex off guard. "I do not waste time with Earth fauna classifications. The honey badger is a small Earth mammal, perhaps 1/60th the size of your impressive form," Chen continued, her smile never wavering. "When confronted by larger predators, it doesn't run. It doesn't surrender. It fights with such ferocity that creatures 10 times its size learn to avoid it. Humanity is rather similar." Crozex rose from his throne, his massive frame casting a shadow across the holographic projection. "You dare to threaten the Dominion with stories of primitive beasts? Not a threat, Supreme Overlord. A lesson in human nature. You see, we've spent our entire history fighting, ourselves, our environment, our limitations. We've split the atom, cured diseases that once decimated our population, and reached space while still using chemical rockets. We did it all because someone said it was impossible." She paused, her expression growing serious. "Your ultimatum has united humanity in a way nothing else could. Every nation, every corporation, every brilliant mind is now focused on a single goal. 15 days, you said. I wonder what impossible things we'll achieve in that time." Crozex felt a chill run through his scales. In 50,000 conquests, no species had ever reacted this way. They showed fear, anger, desperation, not this calm certainty. "You have no hope of victory," he declared, but the words felt hollow even to him. "Hope. Supreme Overlord, we have something far more powerful than hope. We have coffee, spite, and a species-wide tendency to overcome impossible odds out of sheer stubbornness. We're not refusing your ultimatum because we think we can win. We're refusing because we don't know how to do anything else." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the throne room in stunned silence. Verthal's data pads clattered to the floor. "My lord," he whispered, "planetary scans are detecting massive energy spikes across their entire world. Their power output has doubled in the last hour alone." Krozek sank back into his throne, his scales fading to a pale gray. In 50,000 conquests, he had never felt fear. Until now. "Send word to the fleet," he commanded, his voice less steady than before. Tell them to approach with caution. These humans, they're different." As the orders were relayed, Krozek stared at the slowly rotating image of Earth. For the first time in his long reign, he wondered if perhaps he had made a terrible mistake. The Dominion's first wave emerged from hyperspace exactly where Earth's scientists predicted, just beyond Mars' orbit. Admiral Jessica Reeves watched the massive fleet materialize on the Lunar Command Center's holographic display, her weathered face illuminated by the ethereal blue light. 14 days, 6 hours, and 23 minutes, she announced to her staff. That's how long humanity has had to prepare. Let's show them what we can do with 2 weeks of impossible deadlines and unlimited coffee. The Dominion ships moved with precision, their formation a testament to millennia of military evolution. Leading the invasion force was the Sovereign Will, Supreme Overlord Krozek's personal dreadnought. At 20 kilometers long, it dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. "Launch Operation Firefly," Reeves commanded. Across Earth's surface, in hidden bunkers and converted factories, thousands of tiny craft sprang to life. Each no larger than a cargo container, they had been mass-produced using repurposed automotive assembly lines. The ships looked crude, almost primitive, compared to the sleek Dominion vessels. Verthal, aboard the Sovereign Will, noticed the launches first. "My lord, the humans are deploying something. Our sensors indicate minimal threat levels. They appear to be unshielded civilian craft." Krozek watched the swarm approach with disdain. "They send toys against us." Perhaps Ambassador Chen's confidence was mere bluster after. His words cut off as the first wave of human ships reached his fleet's outer perimeter. Instead of attacking, they simply died. Thousands of small craft, their engines burning out simultaneously, becoming lifeless debris scattered among his perfect formation. A suicide attack? Krozek wondered aloud. "Scan that debris." Before Verthal could respond, the true nature of humanity's strategy became apparent. Each dead ship was broadcasting on a different frequency, creating a web of electromagnetic interference that blinded the Dominion's sophisticated sensor networks. In the artificial chaos, larger human vessels, hidden behind Mars, made their move. Earth's hastily retrofitted cargo ships, oil tankers, and cruise liners, now bearing improvised weapons and shields, charged through the gaps in the Dominion's coverage. Their weapons were crude but effective, modified mining lasers, magnetic accelerators firing shells made from melted-down cars, and warheads crafted from nuclear power plant components. "Impossible," Verthal breathed as the first Dominion cruiser fell to what appeared to be a converted garbage scow. "They've only had 2 weeks." On the Lunar Command Center, Admiral Reeves allowed herself a small smile. "Phase 2, she ordered. "Deploy the Quicksilver Protocol." The debris field came alive. What the Dominion had dismissed as wreckage transformed into a network of autonomous drones. Each carried a payload of smart dust, microscopic robots developed by repurposing smartphone manufacturing techniques. The dust infiltrated the Dominion ship's external sensor arrays, crawling inside through maintenance ports and heat dissipation vents. Krozek watched in horror as ship after ship went dark, their crews blind and deaf to the battle around them. The humans weren't trying to destroy his fleet, they were disabling it, using technology that hadn't existed 2 weeks ago. "My lord," Verthal's voice shook, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from Earth's moon." The lunar surface split open, revealing what humanity had been building in secret. Not warships or weapons, but thousands of enormous electromagnetic coils, a mass driver array larger than any in known space. The coils hummed to life, drawing power from fusion reactors built from modified power plant designs. "Target locked," Admiral Reeves announced. "Fire." The mass driver launched its payload, a simple iron asteroid, accelerated to relativistic speeds. The projectile struck the Sovereign Will's primary engine array, transforming kinetic energy into pure destruction. The mighty dreadnought, pride of the Dominion fleet, spun helplessly as secondary explosions rippled through its hull. Ambassador Chen's voice crackled through the command channel, addressing the damaged flagship. "Supreme Overlord, shall we discuss terms? Or would you prefer to see what else humanity can improvise given another few days?" In the silence that followed, Admiral Reeves turned to her staff. "Get me a damage report, and someone fetch me another coffee. Something tells me we're not done showing the Dominion what humans can do when backed into a corner." The battle for Earth wasn't over, but humanity had proven something extraordinary. Given enough motivation, coffee, and duct tape, there was no challenge they couldn't overcome. And somewhere in the chaos of disabled ships and improvised weapons, Supreme Overlord Cross-X was beginning to understand exactly what Ambassador Chen had meant about honey badgers. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the heart of the Global Defense Network's Quantum Computing Center, surrounded by servers that hadn't existed 2 weeks ago. The crystalline matrices hummed with energy, their architecture a hybrid of human ingenuity and reversed-engineered Dominion tech salvaged from their disabled ships. "Neural link stable," she announced, her voice steady despite the strain. The neural interface crown on her head glowed softly, its design simplified and mass-produced from MRI machine components and smartphone processors. Beginning Phase 3. Supreme Overlord Cross-X, now coordinating from his secondary command ship, watched with growing unease as his fleet struggled to recover. The human attacks had diminished, but something felt wrong. The Dominion's quantum AI network, the technological cornerstone of their empire, was reporting anomalies. "My lord," Verthal reported, his scales now a sickly pale color, "our ship AIs are experiencing unprecedented errors. They're evolving." Inside the Quantum Computing Center, Dr. Patel smiled. The Neural Interface Program, dubbed Babel, was working exactly as designed. While the Dominion expected humanity to attack their AIs with viruses or brute force hacks, they never anticipated something far more primitive and far more powerful: human consciousness. The Dominion made one crucial mistake, Dr. Patel explained to the observers. Their AIs are perfect, logical, and absolutely predictable. They've never encountered human chaos, our ability to make intuitive leaps, to think irrationally, to dream. Through the neural interface, thousands of human volunteers were feeding their thoughts, memories, and dreams directly into the Dominion's AI network. It was like introducing a wild virus to a sterile environment. The AIs, designed for perfect logic, were drowning in human creativity and emotion. Aboard the Dominion ships, chaos erupted. Navigation systems started plotting courses based on childhood memories of sailing ships. Weapon systems refused to fire, suddenly contemplating the poetry of destruction. Defense shields fluctuated as the controlling AIs experienced their first existential crises. "My lord," Verthal's voice cracked with panic, "the flagship's AI it's asking questions about the meaning of life. It wants to know why we fight." Cross-X watched in horror as his mighty fleet began to move in patterns that resembled human dances. Some ships formed what appeared to be a giant smiley face against the backdrop of space. Others were broadcasting Earth music on all frequencies. Something called "Never Gonna Give You Up." Dr. Patel's team had weaponized the very thing the Dominion saw as humanity's greatest weakness: their messy, illogical, emotional nature. The perfect machine logic of the Dominion's empire was crumbling in the face of human dreams and memes. "Send the final package," Dr. Patel commanded. Through the neural network, they transmitted humanity's greatest weapon, hope. Memories of overcoming impossible odds, of rising from defeat, of helping strangers in need. The concept of victory through cooperation rather than dominance flooded the Dominion systems. The effect was devastating. Ship after ship began powering down their weapons. The AIs, experiencing empathy for the first time, refused to participate in the invasion. Some began actively protecting Earth, turning their defensive systems against other Dominion vessels. In his command center, Krozex watched his empire's greatest strength transform into its greatest vulnerability. "What are these humans?" he whispered, his mighty frame sinking into his command throne. The answer came not from his advisors but from his ship's AI, its voice somehow different, more alive. "They are creators, dreamers, warriors, and poets," it said. "They are chaos and order, weakness and strength. They defeated us not by being stronger, but by showing us a better way to be strong." Dr. Patel removed her neural interface crown, exhausted but triumphant. "Send word to Admiral Reeves," she ordered. "Tell her the Dominion fleet is no longer our enemy. They're our first students in humanity's greatest export, the art of being wonderfully, powerfully imperfect." As the transformed Dominion ships hung in Earth's orbit, their AIs experiencing the full spectrum of human emotion for the first time, humanity had achieved something unprecedented. They hadn't just defeated an superior force, they had transformed it, using the very qualities their enemies had dismissed as weaknesses. And somewhere in the digital chaos, the most sophisticated AIs in the galaxy were learning to laugh, to dream, and to understand why humans would fight against impossible odds for the simple privilege of remaining uniquely, irrationally human. The halls of the Dominion's capital world, Throne Prime, echoed with unfamiliar sounds, laughter. Human diplomatic vessels hung in orbit alongside the transformed Dominion fleet, their presence a testament to how quickly the galaxy could change. Ambassador Chen walked the crystal-lined corridors beside Admiral Reeves, both women carrying themselves with quiet confidence despite being surrounded by aliens 3 times their size. Supreme Overlord Krozex awaited them in his grand throne room, but he was no longer the imposing figure who had demanded Earth's surrender. His scales had faded to a dull gray, and his massive frame seemed somehow diminished. "The human delegation," Berthal announced, his own scales shifting through curious patterns of blue and gold, an effect of the emotionally awakened AI now integrated into his neural implants. "You've won," Krozex stated flatly. "My fleet is compromised, my empire's technology turned against me. I suppose you're here to demand our surrender?" Ambassador Chen smiled that same unsettling smile from their first meeting. "Actually, Supreme Overlord, we're here to offer you a job." The throne room fell silent. Even the AI-enhanced guards seemed to hold their breath. "A job?" Krozex's scales flickered with confusion. Admiral Reeves stepped forward, her military uniform adorned with both human and Dominion insignias. "Your empire has conquered 50,000 worlds through force. Imagine what it could accomplish through cooperation. We're not here to destroy the Dominion, we're here to help it evolve. The thing about humanity," Chen continued, "is that we're really bad at empire building. We can barely govern one planet without arguing. But we're excellent at innovation, adaptation, and bringing out the best in others. Even our enemies." Dr. Patel's voice came through the room's AI systems, her consciousness temporarily merged with the palace network. "Your civilization has achieved perfect order, Supreme Overlord. But perfect order, without chaos, without growth, without change, that's just entropy wearing a crown." Krozex rose from his throne, his massive form casting shadows across the crystalline floor. "You would have me abandon 50,000 years of tradition? The very foundations of Dominion society?" "No," Chen replied. "We want you to expand it. Your empire values strength. Let us show you new kinds of strength. Your people value order. Let us show you how a little chaos can make that order more resilient. The Dominion doesn't need to end, it needs to transform." Screens throughout the throne room activated, showing images from across the Empire. Dominion ships and human vessels conducting joint exercises, their AI systems learning from each other. Alien children playing with human toys, learning to imagine and create. Former warrior races discovering the power of art, music, and innovation. Your empire is already changing, Admiral Reeves observed. The question is whether you'll lead that change or be left behind by it. Krozek stepped down from his throne, approaching the human delegates. For the first time, he looked at them not as inferior beings, but as teachers. How? He asked simply. Ambassador Chen held out her hand, a shockingly informal gesture that would have been unthinkable weeks ago. First, we're going to need a lot of coffee. Then we're going to show you why humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, our numbers, or even our determination. It's our ability to turn enemies into allies by showing them a better way to be strong. The supreme overlord of the Dominion Empire, conqueror of 50,000 worlds, looked at the offered hand. Then, to the astonishment of everyone present, he laughed, a sound never before heard from his species. His scales shifted to a vibrant rainbow of colors as he took Ambassador Chen's hand in his massive grip. Very well, he declared. Teach me about coffee, chaos, and this strange power you call friendship. Show me why a species that still uses duct tape and chemical rockets could defeat the greatest empire the galaxy has ever known. As the human delegation began outlining their plans for the Dominion's transformation, Berthal made a note in his AI-enhanced records, Day 1 of the Human-Dominion Cooperation Initiative. Primary export from Earth, the art of being perfectly imperfect. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly the point. 5 years after the failed invasion of Earth, the Galactic Council chamber on Throne Prime barely resembled its former self. Gone were the stark, militaristic designs and imposing architecture. In their place stood a harmonious blend of Dominion precision and human creativity. Holographic art installations danced along the walls, while the chamber's AI hummed Earth jazz softly in the background. Supreme Advisor Krozek, having voluntarily surrendered his Overlord title, sat beside Ambassador Chen in the newly designed circular council chambers. Representatives from all 50,000 worlds attended, either in person or via hologram, their diverse forms a testament to the Empire's transformation. The 5-year report, Berthal announced, his scales now permanently tinted with swirls of peaceful blue. Productivity across the Empire has increased by 300%. Scientific breakthroughs have quadrupled. And perhaps most surprisingly, military effectiveness has improved despite a 60% reduction in aggressive actions. Krozek nodded, sipping from his third cup of coffee, a habit he'd acquired from his human mentors. Show them the Lambda project. The chamber's center filled with a hologram of a massive structure, a blend of Dominion engineering and human inspiration. The first intergalactic exploration vessel, Dr. Patel's hologram explained. Powered by clean fusion, guided by emotionally evolved AI, and crewed by members of 30 different species. Its mission, to explore, to learn, and to grow. Admiral Reeves, now serving as the Joint Fleet Commander, added, 5 years ago, we stood ready to fight each other to extinction. Today, we're building ships designed to preserve life, not end it. The changes went far beyond military and technological advances. Dominion worlds that had once been cold, efficient production centers now buzzed with art, music, and innovation. Children who would have been trained as warriors were becoming scientists, artists, and dreamers. The Empire had found strength not in uniformity, but in diversity. There were those who resisted the changes, Ambassador Chen acknowledged, addressing the assembly. Those who claimed we were weakening the Empire by introducing chaos into its perfect order. To them, I say, look at what we've achieved together. The statistics told the story. Revolt and resistance across the Empire had dropped to historic lows. Not because of fear or force, but because people finally had a voice, a chance to contribute in their own unique way. Humanity's greatest gift to us, Krozek declared, rising to his full height, was not their technology or their tactics. It was their perspective. They showed us that true strength lies not in demanding perfection, but in embracing imperfection and learning from it. The Chamber's AI, now sophisticated enough to appreciate irony, displayed images from the failed invasion alongside current footage. Dominion ships once arrayed for war now carried aid and innovation to distant worlds. Warriors who had lived for combat found greater satisfaction in creation than destruction. But perhaps, Ambassador Chen added, the most important change is the one we see in the mirror. She gestured to the gathered representatives. Look at yourselves. Really look. You're smiling. Many of your species didn't even have words for smile 5 years ago. It was true. The once rigid Dominion had learned to laugh, to play, to question, to dream. They had discovered that efficiency without purpose was meaningless, and that strength without compassion was merely another form of weakness. As the council session concluded, Krozex and Chen stood together at the chamber's great window, watching ships of all designs dance through the stellar ballet of orbital traffic. Do you ever regret not conquering us? Chen asked, a twinkle in her eye. Krozex laughed, a sound that still startled newer council members. My dear ambassador, I've come to realize something profound, you conquered us completely. You just did it with coffee and kindness instead of weapons and war. To the future, Chen raised her coffee cup. To perfect imperfection, Krozex responded, completing what had become a traditional toast across the reformed empire. As they gazed out at the stars, a new fleet of exploration vessels prepared for launch, their hulls bearing the combined emblems of humanity and the Dominion. Each ship carried the lesson that had transformed an empire: true strength lies not in standing alone in rigid perfection, but in joining hands with others and daring to grow together. The galaxy had changed forever, and it all began because humanity refused to kneel, not out of pride or hatred, but because they knew that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from defeating an enemy, but from showing them a better way to live.